I'm a STEM student. I've been here for 5 months max.
Somebody detain me!
I'm in the strand where people concern themselves with the most important things in life. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but every single day, the more time I spend in my classroom, the more brain dead I feel. I feel soulless. I feel like a zombie. I used to be an achiever, top of my freaking class. I used to be a creative person, and now I'm here. Dead Poet Society is one of the main influences in my life right now. The very first time I watched Dead Poet Society, actually, I was in the living room with my parents and my brother. It was on the big TV, and the scene where the students stood on their desks. When I saw that scene, when I watched that scene for the very first time, I was sobbing. My tears, went inside my shirt. That was how much I was crying. I feel like the whole lower half of my face and the rest of my body up till cleavage was wet. I was crying so much because I felt like it resonated within me, and I got on my bed. I went there and I curled up into a ball, and I looked like the Stan Twitter gif of Trisha Paytas. I was like This quote from Dead Poet Society speaks to me the most.
Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. If the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse, what will your verse be?
Followed by,
You're not really into politics. Okay, it's fair enough. But what are you into? Transformers? Pokemon, you fucking child?
one of the main problems that I have with society right now is that we are losing what makes us human, which is purpose, passion, and conviction. And these two quotes, they speak to that issue so much. They could not be more far from the other. One of these quotes, it comes from the infamous film bro movie that we always talk about, and the other is, I don't even know who this is. It's just a random Englishman crashing out over politics and Pokemon by what I assume is the London Bridge. He's British, and there's a bridge.
I have a pear, I have pineapple, pineapple.
They really have a central idea. Humans today, we insanely undervalue the liberal arts. In order to really simmer in the meaning of this video, I want you to close every single screen you have except for this one. Because I'm about to
I'm gonna show you some fucking reality. You gonna be scared to ever touch your phone.
We are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion.
The human race is filled with passion. But funnily enough, before our passion blooms, before it even creates a spark, the flames of it are fanned out by humanity itself. It's ironic. Somewhere along the way, we've been taught that pursuing the things you love is not practical, and it's not convenient, and it's not realistic. We've been taught that loving something for its own sake is childish, that love is labor. But if that labor doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense either. I have not met many people who are entirely happy with their jobs. I know that there are ups and downs for every single job, but there are people out there who are completely miserable. People don't get paid for the things they love. We have been taught, we have been conditioned to pursue our true callings in secret, and we've been taught to silence the things that make us feel alive. Pursue your hobby passively. Fund it with a high-paying job. Slowly, we've traded our purpose for productivity, and we stop asking, why am I doing this? And we start asking, for how much am I doing this? Now, who am I attacking? Who am I attacking in this video? What is the purpose of creating this video? There's this thing called liberal arts, and there's another thing called applied science. Liberal arts, it's not really what you think it is. It's not strictly art. It's just the pure study of anything. It could be just the pure study of science and math for the sake of studying it. But when we say applied science, it's liberal arts put into something measurable in output. Like, sure, we have researchers. Whatever knowledge we have, whatever information we have, it really comes from them. But when we say in terms of producing money, who do we have? We have doctors, we have nurses who push for people buying medicine, push for people paying for treatments. That's how we get the money, the economy rolling. And when I say make money and make measurable outputs, I do mean make money for ginormous corporations and businesses. You work for yourself most of the time as an artist. You could be freelancing. You wouldn't be working for these big mega corporations. And even then, it's still so hard to be hired as an artist because people don't think it's justified to pay a lot for artists and mathematicians and people who work in the social sciences. We underestimate people who study music theory and art composition because there are jobs out there that actually produce money, that actually produce a measurable output, like nursing and engineering and architecture. I'm not shitting on the people in applied science, and I'm definitely not shitting on the people who pursue the liberal arts. If anything, I'm trying to balance out our appreciation for both fields because of our underappreciation for the liberal arts. Before we teenagers, before the younger generation even has the environment to figure out what they like or try and find what they're passionate in, a lot of us just beat them down. You should pursue this because no one's gonna fund your research. You're not gonna get any grants. Before we even have the time and the space to find out what makes us unique as individuals, to find out what we're passionate in, to put ourselves out there in the world. There are systems in society and there are a lot of people who want to make us not believe in ourselves and want to make us give up. And I want to say that the human spirit perseveres through anything, but we have seen examples of that not happening time and time again. So many people, especially teenagers and people in the workforce, have committed suicide because of being helpless, being lost, not having any hope, and not having any purpose. A lot of it comes from the traditions that we're forced to follow. I'm gonna add to this. This is editor Delainey. I think that depression is simply a natural reaction to the state of the world right now. Everything is actively going to shirt. Holy motherfucking shirt balls! Everything is going to shirt. People are losing their jobs because of being replaced by AI. Depression is definitely a natural reaction to the state of the world, no matter how privileged you are.
No grades at stake, gentlemen. Just take a stroll. There it is.
If you notice, everyone started off with their own stride, their own pace. I brought them up here to illustrate the point of conformity, the difficulty in maintaining your own beliefs in the face of others. And we all have a great need for acceptance. But you must trust that your beliefs are unique, your own, even though others may think them odd or unpopular, even though the herd may go, that's bad. Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by.
I feel like the thing that hinders our lives the most is people-pleasing. It's a very, very small trait you can have, but it affects so much of your life. I don't blame others for being people-pleasing. It is such a scary thing to be denied by your peers, but when we people-please, we're downplaying ourselves in order to make other people happy. And that's so completely dangerous because it fucks you up. One of the most insane things I've experienced as a Filipino is smart shaming. It's probably not that relevant in other countries. I believe it's under the name of anti-intellectualism in the West. But in the Philippines, when you search up the term smart shaming followed by Reddit on Google, you will not only find a wave of smart shaming submissions, but it's under the subreddit r/Philippines. We've technically claimed it to be a part of our culture. One of the most common examples of smart shaming here in the Philippines is being heckled in class for reciting too much. I have so many friends who have experienced the same thing. I've experienced the same thing. That's why I'm so scared of reciting now. But this only goes for the humanities, never the STEM subjects. People praise you if you're good in science and mathematics because that's the standard way to be smart. But when it comes to philosophy or political governance or journalism, media literacy, they will heckle you. They will heckle you. I have a friend who went on a tangent about Sigmund Freud in class and they got heckled. They were called a know-it-all. We people please so much because we don't want to be heckled like that in class, in public, for being passionate. And it causes us to internalize something in ourselves, to think that it's probably dumb to be as passionate as this. I should just be smart like her in subjects like math and science. Tradition. This usually comes with elders like Neil Perry. He went to Welton Prep.
What are the four pillars?
Tradition, honor, discipline, excellence.
Gentlemen, what are the four pillars?
Travesty, horror, decadence, excrement.
This school is a factory for future Ivy students, and Neil did feel that pressure to go to Harvard. The movie did not end well for him, you know this. He killed himself. In Filipino families mostly, when you hear that your kid is good at art, you would not convince them to pursue a field that they would be passionate in, like multimedia or animation or whatever. I have heard elders telling their grandsons and granddaughters to take architecture, and not having that support from your family, it really discourages you to pursue the things that you love. Neil Perry, he killed himself because he had to choose practicality over his passion. His passion has always been acting, and he starred as the lead role in Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare's play. This crown is actually the crown that Neil Perry wore as Robin Goodfellow. His dad, mostly, has always been against his dream of acting. He thought that if his dad saw him as the leading role, maybe he could convince his dad that, oh, this is meant for my son. My son looks happy doing this. Maybe Neil would convince his dad to let him pursue acting. But the moment he stepped off of that stage, Mr. Perry, bald-ass man, he took Neil, drove him home, threatened him with going to military school, and said, well, along the lines of, you will be wasting your life if you pursue a career as an actor. You will be a doctor, and you will go to Harvard. He took this crown one last time, looked to the horizon. He probably reminisced and looked back at his life with his friends and doing the thing that he loved, acting, even if it was for a very short time. And before taking the gun to his head, he took this crown off. He probably didn't want to defile one of the only things that he loved doing, and he killed himself. I came from one of those dark places. I very deeply wanted to be a journalist, and I told my parents that, and they told me, why don't you want to become a nurse?
Excuse me,
But yeah, they did ask me, why don't you want to become a nurse? When you become a nurse, you'll be able to live abroad. You'll be able to make more money than you need to live. Even if I am able to live this lavish life, which I don't think every nurse is capable of living, I don't think I'll be happy. I don't think that I'll be as fulfilled every time that being a journalist, being a researcher got brought into the conversation, I would always hear toxic side comments. Oh, you'll probably live on the street. You'll probably go hungry. You'll be poor. And stuff like that.
Insufficient funds. You ain't got no money.
And that crushed me. I thought my parents would never support what I'm trying to pursue. I thought that I will never 100% get them on my side. I slept through every single day because I thought, what is the purpose of living? And I have too much pride to kill myself. Anyway, I'm not as depressed as I used to be. I realized that, sure, if my parents can't support me pursuing this professionally, academically, then why not pursue it as a sideline, as a hustle? I've always been a hustler, so seems natural. Seems like a natural progression. Yeah, right now I am in STEM. But no matter how much I excel at some of my favorite subjects, I still don't feel happy in STEM. I don't feel fulfilled. I look at the class schedules of my friends in Humes, and they've got journalism, culture, society, and politics, political governance, and I just feel jealousy. I feel so much jealousy because that is something I could have if I just didn't give in to what society wants.
It should have been me!
I think Neil Peary did need to die to drive the point of the movie home, and Dead Poet Society, I believe that it encapsulates the thesis statement of this whole video. The industrialization of the human spirit. Really big words. Wait, you know what else is big? Yeah. I have a post on my Instagram, check it out. And there's also always the pressure to be the best in these fields, especially if you're pursuing undervalued fields like arts and music and dancing. There's always that pressure to be good because there is already the stigma that these fields are unprofitable and you'll die on the street and be poor and hungry. That if you're gonna pursue this, if you're gonna take the hard way out, then you better be good. You better be guaranteed to succeed. And so many people are already underconfident because of people pleasing all their life, because of not thinking that they're good enough, and internalizing that their interests and their passions are not convenient, that they just don't want to pursue it altogether. Because not having any purpose, even if we're pushed into these jobs because of capitalism, there is decreased productivity because you have workers who do not find the meaning in their work, who think, I'm just gonna half-ass it. We have people who are liabilities to the medical field, even if they're doctors and nurses themselves, because they are brain drained and mismatched in their careers and their studies. I'm not saying that we should get rid of nurses and engineers and frontliners entirely. There are people whose passion is helping others and creating communities and making the world better at the front lines. And they are so noble and so admirable for that. But the world is losing its light. As the days go by, everything feels more soulless, everything feels more bland. Before capitalism, before the big boom of capitalism, we humans, we knew how to create. We knew how to create with purpose. Passionate people have the power to carve their names into Mount Olympus. We knew how to pursue our crafts. We were artisans. Every human, every single invention, it had a purpose because they wanted to make the world better. They wanted to find something in themselves. They wanted to discover. They wanted to answer questions. The point of living as a human being is not to generate money, to produce capital, to become a worker. Even artists today, we have this dilemma of creating art because we want to. That's diminished by making art to keep themselves alive, to keep profiting off of art. When we see profit as the means to an end for our jobs, we lose our purpose, wanting to make people happy, wanting to help people, wanting to foster communities, wanting to express yourself creatively, wanting people to know your name, making connections, being able to travel. When that's replaced by our desire for profit, it does lead you down a very dark path. This is something that my parents told me. They said that when you grow up, when we stop supporting you as our child, you can't expect a consistent flow of money coming to you. You will need to work. The only thing that you will ever care about when you grow older is money, because money will buy you happiness. It is the only way to survive. But I told them I don't want to just survive. If I pursue these practical jobs, I will not feel like I am living. I have no passion in this. Art is already known as not the most sustainable way to earn, and a lot of us artists, with that prerequisite in our heads that art is not profitable, we are already so threatened by being replaced by AI. In fact, we hate AI. ASMR, it's always been this taboo thing in our family. Every single family gathering, we would huddle up in a table, the adults would be drinking, the toddlers would be running around, and the preteens and the teens would be on their phones. The preteens, they would be nonstop playing ASMR, whether this be on the form of those slime unboxings or those Korean mukbangs with the fiery, hot backgrounds. I don't know how you guys don't get heart attacks. And my traditional Filipino family, they would be so repulsed by that waste of food and that unhygienic playing of slime. Like, yep. They would be so repulsed by that sound. And they would snatch the phones off of the littles and the teens. And I would internalize that. And I used to bully so many of my cousins for watching ASMR and being interested in ASMR because of that pushback from the elders in my family. But lately, because, well, I am a STEM student, stressed all the time, I feel like I don't belong in my strand. I've been so deeply anxious and I feel like I can't sleep without listening to ASMR. I felt guilty for bullying my cousins for watching ASMR, but I wanted to have an icebreaker kind of before telling them, oh, I'm finally watching ASMR. So I asked them, who's your favorite ASMR artist? And my cousin, the one that I bullied for liking ASMR, she told me, oh, AI. And I was like, sorry? Because I didn't hear her, like genuinely, I did not hear her the first time. She said, AI. And I was like, sorry? I did hear her this time, I just didn't process it. And she said again, artificial intelligence. The ASMR where they have the lava rocks and the dry ice. And I was like, sorry?
I'm nodding like I understand, but I'm not so sure I do.
Miss Jackson.
I just nodded and smiled. That's it, because it couldn't, it just, the concept of preferring AI art over something that was created by a human was just so mind-boggling to me. I've never in my life experienced liking something made by AI over humans. Never, because AI, it just feels so lifeless, so soulless, and my friends can all agree with me when I say that. There's no soul to it, there's no uniqueness, there's no personality. Every single piece of art that was made by humans, there's like this tiny sprinkle of their own experience. It's so beautiful to look at, and the fact that there are people out there, there are definitely people out there that support and fund and prefer AI art over human creation, it's fiddlesticks. There are already AI artists who win awards that are meant for humans. AI is already integrated in our education, some for good reasons, but there are people, especially in STEM, these people will use AI at any given opportunity. I was judged for not using AI. She was like, hindi ka nag-chat GPT? I was like, yeah, I don't use it. Talaga? Yeah, I don't use it. It flabbergasted me that people see using AI and being AI dependent as a norm, especially in my strand, which is STEM. These are future doctors, engineers, architects, pilots, people who have the lives of society in their hands in the future, and they're not even absorbing the things they're learning. As much as there is the stereotype that STEM students are the highest standard of academia, and we are encouraged to think critically, but we don't think critically, and we don't think creatively, and that's part of why I feel so brain dead. The largest scale example of the topic of this video, the industrialization of the human spirit, is AI art. In essence, it takes the experiences, the feelings, the personality, the works of humans. They use it to produce things that will convenience them. All under the hand of capitalism, producing more profit, producing more media, having more things to look at, having more things to hold. If we keep using AI, if we keep being dependent on this software, this program to produce our presentations and our work and our test paper answers and our reviewers and our music and our art, because our excuse is, I want to spend this time consuming media. I want to spend this time watching Love Island and scrolling on TikTok. In the long run, if we keep being AI dependent, we will very slowly lose what makes us human. Everything that we'll be consuming will be AI slop, will be soulless, will be lifeless, and so in turn we will be too. I will repeat again, we are not industrial machines whose sole focus is to consume or create capital. Our mistakes, talking about things, conversing with other people, these are learning opportunities of the highest value. Our emotions and our expression is supposed to be messy. That's how we find ourselves. Art is supposed to be freeing. Knowledge is supposed to be doubted and skepticized, and it doesn't make them bad. To live as humans means to express and feel and experience. And when we do, our job, what we owe each other, is to empower each other in their pursuits. Every good thing in this world came from a person who thought there has to be more than this, and there will be more than this. Look around. Take in every good thing in this world. It could be your clean water. It could be your air conditioner. It could be a freaking metal. It could be your phone. It could be your phone. Every single thing was created with the purpose of making someone's life better, of discovering something for yourself. And I'm not supposed to deny myself of these luxuries as a human. I'm definitely not supposed to downplay the privileges I have. I will not take them for granted. That's the common ground between John Keating and that angry British man yelling in front of the London Bridge about Pikachu and politics. They're both frustrated. John Keating mourns the loss of passion, and I still don't know his name, that angry London guy. He mourns the loss of conviction. To be able to feel strongly about something, to be able to think for yourself, to be able to have convicted opinions, that is what makes purpose, that is what makes human beings, that is what makes the human spirit. And every day we are slowly losing it because of smart shaming, because of tradition, because of people making us think that we're not good enough. We are unfazed by art and poetry and politics. We think it's meaningless and that it's tedious. We no longer have strong, original opinions because we are discouraged from doing so by society. Both of these men fight for people to feel again, to believe in something again. Because passion and conviction, whether it's for poetry or politics, oh my god, I sound so sappy. It is the spark that will flame up and make the world brighter. In the words of N.H. Kleinbaum,
I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. To put to rout all that was not life, and not when I had come to die, discover that I had not lived.
So maybe the real question isn't John Keating's, what will your verse be? When the world desires to silence your voice, is the human spirit strong enough to contribute a verse?